The air at 4,000 feet is thin, crisp, and carries the scent of ancient pine and damp limestone. Most people look at the peak of the Blackwood Ridge and see only the jagged silhouette of forgotten era, a skeletal mansion with ribbed arches and hollow windows that look like empty eye sockets staring out over the valley. For decades, the Cloud Manor was a ghost story whispered by hikers, a Gothic monstrosity that nature was slowly reclaiming with ivy and rot. But where others saw a tomb of Victorian excess, one visionary saw the ultimate canvas. What follows is not just a renovation. It is an architectural exorcism, a 17-minute journey of scraping away the grime of century to reveal a luxury dream home that blurs the line between the earth and the heavens. Before the first pour of epoxy or the first strike of a hammer, the manor stood as a testament to the arrogance of the late 19th century. Built by a reclusive industrialist, the structure featured soaring vaulted ceilings, pointed arches, and gargoyles that had lost their features to erosion. When the restoration team first entered, the silence was heavy. Water damage had turned the grand ballroom's oak floors into a spongy, blackened mess. Dust motes danced in shafts of light that pierced through holes in the slate roof. The challenge was immense. How do you preserve the soul of a Gothic structure, its inherent moodiness and grandeur, while making it livable for the modern age? The answer lay in the contrast. The marriage of heavy, historical stone with the sleek, liquid brilliance of contemporary materials. The first phase of any revived project is the purge. In the case of the Gothic mansion, this meant stripping away layers of failed previous attempts at upkeep. Workers spent weeks removing lead paint from the intricate stonework of the fireplaces. The sound of the site was a rhythmic ASMR scraping, metal against stone, the clatter of falling debris, and the high-pitched hum of industrial vacuums. There is a meditative quality to watching a space be empty. As the rotted floorboard was pried up, the true scale of the ballroom was revealed. Without the clutter of decay, the room felt like a cathedral. The team discovered that the original foundation was carved directly into the mountain's granite, meaning the house wasn't just sitting on the ridge. It was a part of it, the epoxy revolution. If the stone walls are bones of this home, the floors are its heartbeat. The decision to move away from traditional hardwood in the main gallery was controversial but ultimately brilliant. To bridge the gap between the dark, heavy Gothic aesthetic and above the clouds' ethereal feeling, the designers chose a multi-layered epoxy resin system. The process began with the leveling of the concrete subfloor. In an old mansion, nothing is ever truly flat. The sound of the grinders, a deep vibrating drone, smoothed out the imperfections of 100 years. Once the surface was pristine, a charcoal-colored primer was applied. This served as a void, the dark base that would give a final floor its depth. Watching a luxury epoxy pour is a sensory experience. The resin, thick and clear, was mixed with metallic pigments in shades of obsidian, slate gray, and a hint of pearlescent silver. When the mixture hit the floor, it moved like slow-motion lava. Using spiked shoes and squeegees, the artisans manipulated the pigments to create veining that mimicked natural marble, but with a depth no stone could achieve. As the epoxy leveled, it created a mirror finish. Suddenly, the Gothic arches were reflected in the floor. When you stand in the center of the room, it feels as though you are floating. The ceiling reaches the sky, and the floor reflects the clouds passing by the floor-to-ceiling windows. It is a seamless transition from the heights of the atmosphere to the interior of the home. Culinary shadows. In many modern renovations, the kitchen is a bright, white, sterile environment. To do that here would have been a crime against the architecture. Instead, the kitchen was designed as a gourmet cave. The cabinetry was crafted from charred wood, an ancient Japanese technique known as shosugiban, which gives the timber a silvery, reptilian texture that is both fire-resistant and visually stunning. The countertops were cut from a single slab of matte black soapstone, cold to the touch and incredibly durable. To break up the darkness, the team installed a custom backsplash made of aged brass. As the sun sets over the ridge, the light hits the brass, casting a warm, golden glow across the charcoal floors. It's a space that feels ancient and cutting-edge all at once. A sanctuary in the mist. The primary bedroom was moved to the highest point of the mansion, into what was once a drafty attic space. The wooden rafters were sandblasted and left exposed, showing the intricate joinery of the 1880s. The centerpiece of the suite is a freestanding black soaking tub positioned directly in front of a pointed arch window. From here, the homeowner can look out over the sea of clouds that often settles in the valley below. There is no need for art on the walls when the window frames a live painting of the shifting mountain weather. The floor in the bedroom deviates from the ballroom's dark epoxy. Here, a softer, cloud-white resin is used, embedded with microfine glitter that catches the morning sun. It provides a soft, ethereal landing for feet, contrasting with the dark, heavy beams above. One of the most overlooked aspects of a luxury home is its acoustic profile. A Gothic mansion is naturally echoey, which can feel cold and impersonal. To combat this, the restoration involved hidden softening, acoustic plaster. Behind the seemingly solid stone walls, high-tech acoustic plaster was used to absorb the bounce of sound. Integrated audio. A state-of-the-art sound system was hidden within the crown molding, allowing the home to be filled with ambient music that feels like it's emanating from the air itself. Every door handle is weighted. Every drawer has a soft close mechanism that makes a satisfying muffled thud. The house doesn't just look expensive, it sounds expensive. Lighting a Gothic space is a delicate balancing act. You need enough light to see, but too much light kills the mystery. The solution was layered lighting. Recessed LEDs were tucked into the floor joists to wash the walls with upward light, highlighting the texture of the old stone. Custom-made wrought iron chandeliers, spanning 6 feet in diameter, hang from the ballroom ceiling. These aren't fitted with standard bulbs, but with flicker-flame LEDs that mimic the warmth of candlelight without the fire hazard. Outside, the mansion is lit with soft blue spotlights that catch the edges of the gargoyles and the peaks of the roof. From the valley floor, the house looks like a glowing crown sitting atop the mountain, taming the wilderness. The ground of the Cloud Manor were as much a project as the interior. The goal wasn't a manicured English garden, which would look out of place on a rugged ridge. Instead, the team went for controlled wildness. Native ferns, blackleaf plants, and silver-toned succulents were planted among the existing boulders. A perimeter infinity pool was installed, its edge disappearing into the cliffside. On a foggy day, the water of the pool and the mist of the mountain become one, making it appear as though the mansion is rising directly out of the cloud. The driveway was paved with crushed basalt, a dark stone that crunches under the tires of arriving guests, providing a tactile and auditory signal that they have arrived somewhere special. What does it mean to live in a place like this? It's more than just a flex of wealth. It's a commitment to a specific atmosphere. This home is for someone who finds peace in the storm, who prefers the complexity of a shadow to simplicity of a bright room. By choosing to revive an abandoned mansion rather than building something new, the owners saved a piece of history. They kept the carbon footprint low by reusing the existing stone and timber, and they provided a future for a building that was one winter away from collapse. A walkthrough. Imagine walking through the heavy, arched front doors. The first thing you notice is the smell, a hint of cedar and the clean, ozone scent of mountain air. Your footsteps are silent on the high-gloss epoxy floors, which look like frozen ink. To your left, the grand fireplace is roaring, the orange flames reflected in the polished surfaces. To your right, the valley is spread out like a map, the clouds shifting and rolling beneath you. You move through the kitchen, where the matte black surfaces invite you to touch them. You head up the spiral stone staircase, your hand gliding over the cold iron railing. In the master suite, you turn off the lights. The moon catches the edges of the Gothic windows, casting long, dramatic shadows across the white floor. You are at the highest point for miles. The world below is busy, loud, and cluttered, but up here in the Cloud Manor, there's only the wind, the stone, and the silence. The logistics of this project were a nightmare that the final video only hints at. Getting heavy equipment and thousands of gallons of epoxy up a narrow, winding mountain road required a fleet of specialized 4x4 transport vehicles. During the winter months, work often had to stop entirely as snow drifts buried the first floor. The structural reinforcement was another hidden triumph. Over a century of water ingress had weakened some of the primary supports. Engineers had to stitch the stone walls back together using carbon fiber rods, hidden deep within the masonry. These rods provide the tension needed to keep the heavy roof stable in high mountain winds, ensuring that this restoration will last for another 2 centuries. The true success of the Estate Revive project is that the mansion no longer feels like an intruder on the mountain. By using colors found in the natural environment, the grays of the rocks, the blacks of storm clouds, the greens of the pine, the house has been camouflaged into its surroundings while still maintaining its regal presence. The use of epoxy floors was a wild card that tied it all together. It's a man-made material, synthetic and chemical, yet when applied with the skill of an artist, it looks more natural than the tile or would ever could. It looks like a mountain lake frozen in time. There's a reason why millions of people watch these transformations. We live in an era of disposable architecture, fast, cheap, and temporary. Seeing someone take a permanent structure, something built with the intent of outlasting its creator, and bringing it back from the brink of death is deeply satisfying. It reminds us that nothing is truly lost if someone is willing to do the work. Whether at a Gothic mansion, an abandoned car, or a forgotten plane, the act of revival is an act of hope. It's the belief that the past has value, and that the future can be built on a foundation of history. As the sun dips below the horizon, the Gothic mansion above the clouds begins its nightly ritual. The internal lights glow through the arched windows, a beacon of warmth in the cold mountain air. The gargoyles stand guard, no longer over a ruin, but over a masterpiece. The Estate Revive team has done more than just renovate a house. They have curated an experience. They have proven that luxury isn't about how much gold you can cram into a room. It's about the harmony between the architecture and the environment. It's about the satisfying click of a well-made latch and the way a floor can reflect the soul of the building. The Cloud Manor is no longer a ghost story. It is a dream realized, a Gothic relic that found its way into the 21st century, proving that even the most abandoned spaces can be turned into a sanctuary if you have the vision to see past the dust and the courage to pour the first bucket of resin.